I'm here to tell you that you should do the right things for you and allow the healing to show up in time. And attach yourself to the insights you gain from the doing, right? This is why it's so important that when you get the insights, you write them down. I got an insight, I write it down. I got a moment of clarity, I write it down. Next thing you know, your entire system is focused so much on what you're learning. You're starting to actually enjoy the journey. You're enjoying the transition away from the old you, the artificial you, right? You're moving away from the artificial you and onto the authentic self. Such a beautiful place to be, honestly. And if a part of you, even a tiny part of you, isn't enjoying this transition, then you're doing it wrong, right? Don't wake up every single day hoping that the negative or the icky stuff doesn't show up. Wake up every single day looking forward to what you need to apply towards your transition and allow the transition to be natural. You will understand this as you go forward. You will understand this as you look at how you are approaching your healing journey, right? Daniel's here. Daniel Moosemore, we did an amazing podcast on his podcast related to alcohol and anxiety. It's so great to see you, my friend. And we have that on YouTube, so check it out. And the links are below if you want to get in touch with Daniel. Very, very inspiring and beautiful story. Jason, great to see you. So here we are. Let's get into the role, my friends, right? Let's make sure we fix our physiology here. We get our bodies ready, okay? We get our minds ready. We are proactive here, okay? Make sure that everybody right now is fully engaged in the words I'm expressing. Make sure that we are all connecting with each other here. I'm asking you a question. I have 5 questions for you. And what I want you to do is to see yourself as the teacher, the guider. I want you to guide me today, okay? Because as I've mentioned in many of my videos, the last 15% of healing is your ability to go from the learner to the teacher. So this is your opportunity to gain tremendous ground over your emotional distress from the past. So, warriors, comment below on your answer and enjoy your tea, of course, right? Enjoy your tea. What's everybody drinking? We got reishi right here. Beautiful reishi tea ready to go. Question number 1. What do you believe is the mindset that an anxiety sufferer should bring with them in regards to their symptoms throughout the day? What do you believe is the mindset that an anxiety sufferer should bring with them in regards to the symptoms throughout the day? I'll repeat each question twice, and I want to know what you think the mindset is that an anxiety sufferer should bring with them in regards to their mental symptoms, in regards to their physical symptoms, their emotional symptoms, right? What do you say? What kind of mindset should this person wake up with in the morning? Something practical, something they can use, something that will generate some self-compassion, some self-love. What do you say? Sherry says acceptance to all feelings. What a beautiful mindset. Deb says neutral. I love it. Paula, positivity. Face them with curiosity, Nathan says. Ooh, that one deserves a couple of likes and loves, as do many of these. Acceptance, they are no harm, Stephen says. What a beautiful mindset. Debbie touches on curiosity again. Wow. Think about, now, okay, Joshua, ride the wave. What a beautiful way to apply the idea of acceptance. That's excellent, thank you. Edita says loving herself. Deb says learning. Very neutral mindset, Abdo. Great to see you, by the way. Zoe, slow down. Hey, Zoe. These are amazing. Now let's take a step back from this. These are absolutely beautiful, and ask ourselves, are we applying what we just taught? Are we applying it to our own lives? Ask yourself that. Are you applying it to your own life? Sometimes it can be so easy to provide the right piece of advice for somebody, to guide someone, to love someone else. But it can be more challenging to do that for ourselves. So find out whether the mindset that you just shared is in fact your mindset. Do you take it with you every single day? Great job, guys. Rachel, that is just wonderful. Heba, you started painting again. That's something that I want to get into. It's interesting you said that. Even though I'm not a painter at all, there's a couple new things that I'm looking to embark on soon enough, but that's really, really cool. Right. Good stuff. Alex, you've been feeling much better. Read the book. Yeah, absolutely, like we talked about in the beginning. And I would suggest reading the book multiple times. I would suggest doing the programs multiple times, especially the End the Anxiety program, which is a few weeks of commitment. Do these things multiple times. Don't just do it and think that you've learned it. Think that you've, taken it all in. There's always going to be things that arise, right? Sometimes I try to convince my inner child that this new mindset is true. That's right. Now, question number 2. What would be your best piece of advice for what an anxiety sufferer should do in moments of overwhelm, sensitization, and confusion? Many times these 3 tend to arise at the same time. So what would be your best piece of advice, teacher, for what an anxiety sufferer should do in moments of overwhelm, sensitization, and confusion? So what we're talking here is more so an ability to tap into our toolkit for healing, right? When we tap into our toolkit for healing, we grab a tool from that toolkit. Anissa says slow down. So Anissa's going to her body. Tammy says self-care talk. Tammy's going to the cognitive side of things. Karen says go for a walk in nature. Okay, beautiful. Zoe says 4x4x4 breathing exercise. She's going to her body. Courtney says body tapping. She's going to her body. Stop, Rachel says. Ground your feet. Breathe. We're going to our body. These are fantastic answers. A reminder from Mike that it's like a storm that will pass. What a beautiful reminder in that moment that everything passes. Ride the wave and start breathing, Jesus. Very beautiful. Awesome. Slow down, Stephen says. Respond. Not to remain and react. Excellent, guys. Focus, slowing down, color me. You guys are don't believe everything you think, Mariana. So these are great. And again, as with all of these, take a moment right now, just step back, nothing else to comment on, and just recognize what you do in the moment of overwhelm, sensitization, and confusion. Do you do the advice that you just presented to me? Do you do that? Right? Or are you still allowing yourself to be frantic, to be caught up? Do you do the advice that you just mentioned? Take a moment. Be honest with yourself. Remember, it's the insights that heal. Heba says cold shower. Yeah, Stephen, these are amazing answers, as you can see, my friend. I mean, honestly, it just seems like it's so beautiful just to grow together the way we're growing. It's just, I just feel so connected to everybody lately, to be honest with you. And it's so heartwarming. It's so nice to, be in a place where, collective love and self-love really rule the group, rule the page, rather than fear, rather than what you'll see in most support places, right? Yes, Mariana says yes. Excellent. So not only is it the right advice, but we're also recognizing that we're doing these things. Beautiful, guys. Question number 3. Joshua, it's great to have you here, my friend. Question number 3 is, Rania, hello. It is, how should an anxiety sufferer approach uncertainty? How should an anxiety sufferer approach uncertainty? Put yourself in the teacher's shoes. Someone comes to you and says, anything that's uncertain, anything that I'm not sure of, the answer that I'm not sure of that's going to arise in my life, I just can't seem to handle. Therefore, I do everything I can to distract myself from it or run away from it, and my world is getting smaller and smaller. How should an anxiety sufferer approach uncertainty? A very powerful question, and something that really can go a long way towards this transformation that we're all on. Jason, it's good to be honest, my friend. With no fear, Tammy says. Approach uncertainty with no fear. Embrace it, Vernice says. Susanna says gratitude. Susanna, great to see you. Embrace the uncertainty, Nathan says. With self-love and self-worth, Stephen says. Uncertainty is a challenge and a new adventure in life. So the metaphor is that life is an adventure. What a beautiful way to approach every single day of your life. Still learning how to deal with that abdo. Good. Keep learning. Go forward, fearless. Cheryl, great to see you. Let your body and mind experience that uncertainty and accept it. So what Cheryl's talking about is experiencing the uncertainty, moving with it, holding hands with it. Beautiful. Casimiro, you're very welcome, and it's great to have you here. Were you on Twitter as well, Casimiro? You're on Twitter, I think. I think we connected there a few times. Trust in the unfolding of your life, Heba. Paula, it's great to see you. There's a lot of people here that you're going to learn from, and in time, things are going to change. Flow state. Now, as with all these questions, ask yourself if your advice is in fact being implemented in your own life. How are you approaching uncertainty? How do you approach uncertainty? Go ahead and be honest with yourself. Take a step back and evaluate. Just analyze for a moment. So many times we're looking, and we've done this for years and years and years. Many times throughout a person's life, many things have gone according to plan, right? According to their plan. The results are just the way they want them to be. And then there's a little bit of a chapter in a person's life where things don't go the way they want it to go. And then what happens is we start to fight for the control. We start to fight for the certainty, which brings up more anxiousness, which turns into an anxiety disorder. So remember how important it is to balance out the need for certainty and the faith in uncertainty. When these two aspects of you are balanced out, now we can have harmony. We can have harmony between the intellect Right? When we talk about the intellect, we're talking about the thoughts, we're talking about the mental chatter, we're talking about the ideas, the intuition, the language of your heart, and your instincts, the language of your body. When these three things are in harmony, your life, your internal world, and your external world will be congruent. They'll be working together. It's almost like a feeling of effortlessly moving through life, whether it's your career, relationships, anything like that. There is no more suffering. There is no more fighting. There is no more of any of those things, and you feel a sense of connectedness with the intelligence that's on the outside, and that's where you're going. Let it be natural, like we talked about in the beginning. Question number 4. What would your advice be on the best way to handle difficult people? And we're all going to run into difficult people, right? Difficult people and their opinions and advices and whatever it is towards you have nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. We begin to see these things as we become more compassionate towards ourselves and more self-loving towards others. But what would your advice be on the best way to handle difficult people? What do you say? Susanna replies to difficult people with love. Woo. That's another level. With compassion and kindness. I'm going to ask you a very important question in a moment that always goes with these questions. No judgment, and don't take it personally. That's right. Don't take it personally. Breathe and reframe the situation, Karen. Be kind, no judgment, Nathan says. Shielding practice. Jojo. By the way, Jojo is doing a fabulous job on the members lounge to share some of the notes from F Coping Start Healing. So let's please give it up for Jojo. She's doing an amazing job just sharing some of the highlights of the book from chapter to chapter. I love it, and I believe that you can find her updates and her reviews there if you just go on the search bar and look up her name. But thank you so much. It's really helping a lot of people, I'm sure, just kind of scrolling and recognizing those. Stay on your course and be kind, Cheryl. Awesome. Now again, ask yourself, are you dealing with difficult people the way that you mention that others should deal with difficult people? Be honest with yourself. Do you deal with difficult people the way you just mentioned others should? It's important to be honest with ourselves. It's important that when fear arises, when icky feelings arise, when negative emotions arise, when these things arise, things that we don't want to arise throughout the day, when they arise, it's important to go directly towards them. It's important to look directly at them to say, what is this trying to teach me? What is my system or my inner wounded child trying to tell me? What's going on in this moment? How should I reinterpret this situation? The moment we realize that we can go directly to the very thing that we're afraid of, we're free. We are literally free. And I believe that the two biggest fears are the fear of poverty and the fear of death. When you overcome those two fears, you can begin living your life, right? And so that's what we're working towards, getting to a place where we're okay with these things. And JoJo's being honest. She says she takes things personally and she shouldn't. And many times, my friends, this is not something to feel guilty about or self-blaming about, right? This is a silly way to react. I mean, this is an involuntary response. An involuntary response when someone tells you something. Your survival and emotional brains begin attaching to those words. And all of a sudden we begin thinking that we're in conflict with another person, these difficult people. We're always searching for love. We're always searching for connectedness. We're always searching for a feeling like we are connected to others. And when it doesn't happen, we feel threatened. And when we feel threatened, we tend to blame ourselves many times. We tend to put ourselves down. Our level of self-worth goes down when in fact it has nothing to do with those things. And just like any other situation, if a situation arises with a difficult person, we can see that as an opportunity to practice something. Practice anything your intuition tells you that you should be practicing. Go to your toolkit for healing until you no longer have to. This is a very important part of healing, where you utilize your toolkit for healing. And then you get to a point where you feel like, hey, I don't really need that. I don't need anything specific. I just know what I need to do right now. What a freeing place to be. Right. Final question. Amira is here. Final question. How should an anxiety sufferer approach and respond to conflict and criticism by others? So, again, hand in hand with question number 4. But how should an anxiety sufferer approach, okay, how do we approach and respond to conflict and criticism by others? So here we have the mindset, right? We have the mindset, but we also have the skill set. We have the mindset in terms of, hey, we're going to work. What's the right mindset I need to take in order to deal with criticism that I know is going to come from this person? And what can I do in the moment? What can I do in that moment? You know what was interesting? What was really interesting for me was, with difficult people and criticism and a feeling of conflict, I stopped giving those people what they anticipated, right? So they would anticipate me getting angry over something that they said. And then there would be this kind of back and forth. I'm right, you're right, you did something wrong, I did something wrong. This is years ago, right? And I realized it's eating up my time, it's eating up my energy, my entire day goes down the drain, so does my week sometimes, yada, 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 and it's not worth it. What I started to do was I started to give these people things that they didn't anticipate. I actually started even hugging people that made fun of me. I started hugging people that criticized me. I started hugging people that got angry with me over the littlest and, non-important things. It's an incredible thing to see when you look at their faces and you give them something that's unexpected. You literally break their emotional state, right? When you break their emotional state by giving them something that they don't anticipate, then all of a sudden, everything changes. They change, right? You're changing more, and you're literally applying what you know, because you know these things. You know these things. Look at your answers. I mean, if I had someone that was suffering from emotional distress and sensitized and whatever, I would send that person to you. I mean, look at your answers. There is literally no reason for you not to get to that place of total inner peace. There may just be a couple of components connected to the fear of ultimately changing yourself. That may still be present. The fear of taking that gigantic leap, the transition to the new identity. But that's the only thing that's holding you back at this point. It's not the mindset, it's not the skill sets, it's not the habit, it's definitely not the people. You're surrounded by love and compassion and connectedness here. Right? You have everything, but there's a grain, a little tiny part of you that says, if I transform into this loving, carefree, embracing uncertainty person, then I may lose out on something. Or there's a level of self-worth there that doesn't match who you want to become. Whatever it is, look at that resistance and say, you know what? Total and utter BS. Total and utter BS. That's all it is. I keep feeding myself BS, and if I continue feeding myself this BS, then eventually I'm going to turn it into a belief system. And these beliefs are going to turn into habits. The habits are going to turn into an identity, and I'm going to go backwards. I don't want that to happen. Right? So your healing is determined by your level of self-worth. Period. End of story. If you feel worthy of all the good that's coming your way, if you feel worthy of living an inner peaceful life, the love within you, then there is no limit. You enjoy your life effortlessly. Things just miraculously start to happen, right? And if you begin studying things like spontaneous remissions, Dr. Joe Dispenza has a lot of things on spontaneous remissions. I highly suggest, there's a number of books, and if you guys are interested, just send me a message. I'll send you a link to those recommended books that I have. But finally, are you doing number 5? Are you doing number 5? Are you approaching these potential conflicts the way that you'd like others to? Right? Be honest with yourself. How are you approaching it? Many times when we approach conflict and difficult people the right way, it's interesting. It doesn't tend to appear as often as it would if people were frantic and approaching it with some sensitivity. You know what I mean? Like when you have the right mindset and you go through the day, many times things go the right way. Or if they don't, you're able to handle them in a moment. But if you don't have the proper mindset and the right intention in the morning upon going into a situation and you random it, then many times things don't work out that way, and we can chalk that up as being energy related, right? But it's really interesting. So cheers to everybody. Thanks for spending some time answering these questions today. Warriors, do you have any questions that are lingering in your mind related to what we talked about today, or anything from the podcast or the video or anything like that? Is there anything that's kind of like, let me just get this out and can create an answer around it? I'll do my best. If there is that question, go ahead and ask it. Ask that question. Let's go through it. Michael has appeared. Hello, Michael. Great to see you, buddy. Smile. They'll wonder what you're up to. Yeah, totally. Isn't that a state break? Ooh, what if the difficult person is your child? Oh, is your child. I thought inner child. What if the difficult person is your child? You know, what's really interesting with that is that I've realized over the years and observing that children are only difficult because of the the repeated energy that we exude, many times, not many times, every time the child is learning from the authority figure's behavior, the words they're expressing, so on and so forth, as well being programmed by the environment, being programmed by what they see and hear and don't really consciously see from the TV, yada yada yada. So oh, I think I pinned the wrong one. Oh, whoops. Sorry, Deb. 1 second. You could do that one again. But we're talking about the child being the difficulty in somebody's life. I would begin taking a few steps back and simply evaluating what it is in that child's environment that's causing them to be difficult. Okay? What is it that's causing them to be difficult? Many times they're difficult at certain times of the day, right? Whereas in other times they're easier or a lot easier to work with and cooperate with. So if it's the morning, you'll notice that parents tend to rush, and this can create a very overactive sympathetic system where the child, because of the adult, is starting to feel like they need to be hyped up. They seem to have their fight or flight system on and activated all the time. If your child's difficult, I would definitely not only look at the times of day where they are difficult, but as well I would introduce meditation. I would introduce meditation in very small amounts, maybe once or twice throughout the day, maybe a minute here and a minute there. I would bring them into nature more often. So if they're in the environment that's more man-made constantly, I would bring the child into meditation. I would replace their iPad with something else. If they're using their iPad for productive reasons, schooling, homeschooling reasons, that's another story. But more so, I would just jot down on a piece of paper some of the things that may be exuding from you and are within the environment at certain times of the day that are making the child more difficult. I would do that and introduce the meditation. And you know what? Anything that calms the child's system more, you can grab the child by the hand and walk in nature for an hour and you'll just feel like the child is changing. Maybe not within the first couple minutes, but you just got to keep walking. Anything that's not overstimulating, right? And this is something that us adults have to learn as well. It's so easy to get caught up in everything. People, the next thing to do. Grounding, earthing, right? Getting your socks off, going on sand, going on grass for at least 15 minutes. And more than anything, don't do these things randomly for yourself and your child. Do them as a part of the day. Do them as, hey, here's our morning routine when we wake up. This is what we're going to be doing from now on. Write it down. And what I did with my own child back in the day was we created a bit of a sticker system, right? Oh, we accomplished this and we accomplished that and yada, yada, yada. We went down the list and we kind of nailed everything until we no longer had to do the sticker system. So those are a couple pieces of advice that will definitely help, right? Great question. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit here to see. I know there was a lot of comments there. Very welcome, Norsky. Do you still reframe or have you went through all? Susanna, your questions are fantastic in the members lounge too. I know you got a lot of stuff there related to reframing. I know that reframing has helped you quite a bit. Do I still reframe or have I went through all of my traumas? I did a ton of reframing work. I did reframing work for particular experiences from my past that I intuitively felt like I was still holding on to. I did them until I felt like I didn't have to do them anymore. Right? I did them until I felt like there was a shift towards the person and or the experience. So do I do them now? Periodically I do, if I feel like there's something that I'm carrying within me. It doesn't seem to be the case that often anymore, but I do reframing from time to time. But what I do is a lot of body work. I do things like in the End the Anxiety program, gray room, for example. I'll do the magic suit visualization that you'll find on YouTube. These sorts of exercises I'll do regularly because we need to understand something here, okay? Healing is very much, at least for me, was a couple components, okay? The meditation is very much an internal thing, right? I'm internalizing things. I'm feeling the calmness in my body. I'm in rhythm with my breathing. It is in depth, so on and so forth. Meditation is there to build our focus, to build our concentration, not to just zen out, but as we go through the day, allow ourselves to benefit from the meditation that we did to become more mindful. That's meditation. But then there's the other part of things, the reframing, the somatic visualization work. These things are more so in order for us to get rid of things that we're carrying within us. So if you're just doing the meditation, it's not enough. If you're just doing the visualization stuff and the reframing, it's not enough. You can reframe things from the past, and you can reframe things that are going to show up in the future, right? And if you go to visual imagery sessions on YouTube, you'll notice the list of those exercises there. So you need both. You need to have the meditation, but you also need the reframing work. But to answer your question, from time to time, Susanna, I still do, and I feel like I'll never stop doing them. These are life habits. People need to understand that all these things are life habits. They're not things that we just do temporarily to feel better, right? We do these things to constantly recognize with our authentic selves, our true selves, and to live a life where we feel like we're clear in our minds. We feel like our bodies can, in fact, heal themselves. And we don't need to be so dependent on other people or other things, right? We're so independent in this way. That really is some of those stepping stones to healing. Stephen, Mr. Stephen. Anissa, yeah, good stuff. Did you find just going through your day that your thoughts about anything feel like a meditation, to slow down and respond instead of reacting? My friend, it's so great that you said that, right? And you know my answer to that. I know you do. It's meditation isn't this thing that, that you just sit and do at certain parts of the day just to kind of clear your head. That's not it. You get to a point where you're meditating pretty much throughout the entire day, no matter what you're doing. It's kind of a strange feeling of being outside yourself. Right now we're getting into some deeper stuff, but it's that feeling where you no longer attach to thought, you no longer attach to any kind of commitment, you no longer are attached to any kind of identity even. You're walking and you're meditating, you're talking and you're meditating, you're driving and you're meditating. I find myself regularly in that place as I go through the day. I don't force myself to go there. I believe that enough self-care work will get you there in time. Some people more hesitant than others to let go and go to that place. But I've said this over and over again, that healing an anxiety disorder comes with a rebirth, it comes with an awakening. And if you're resistant to the awakening, if you're resistant to spiritual connection, if you're resistant to unconditional love, then you will never truly heal, right? You need to be accepting of those things. You need to accept that your belief systems are the ones that you are creating, and that you no longer have to follow the people that gave you your past belief systems. Yes, yes. I find that more often than not, Stephen, that a lot of the thoughts are connected to the meditation, and I will refer to what Osho says from time to time. He calls it no mind, and the place of no mind is really a place where, ooh, what's gonna show up next? I don't know. And when I think about no mind, I think about simply just being, like just being, just living, just being in that moment. And can I say that it's easy? No, it's definitely not easy, because everywhere we turn, there's something else that potentially we can attach to. I find that back in the day, if my fight or flight system was on constantly, I would always sort for fear. Like, I would sort for the next thing to be afraid of. I would sort for the next thing I need to control. I would sort for what's wrong around me. And so I've left that world, right? I'm living in a different world now. And there, you get to a point where it's just so stupid to get caught up in anything. What's the purpose of trying to control things you have no control over? Just look to control the less than handful of things that you have within you. Other than that, learn to let those things go. So in that place of being, I know some of you understand what I'm talking about. Someone said they're reading that Osho book. That's great. If you get a chance, Beyond Knowing, Beyond Logic, was it? Beyond Logic or Beyond Knowing, something related to intuition from Osho. It's a fantastic book. Yes, Stephen also mentions a great book, Outwitting the Devil. I would highly recommend that you listen to that one, audiobook style or book or whatever, multiple times. But Warriors, this was fun, right? Comment below if you enjoyed this, if you got something out of it. Comment below on your greatest insight from today. What did you learn? What did you realize that you didn't realize before? Comment below, right? Love to hear it. If you do get a chance, go ahead and share this on your profile. Let other people listen to some of this content, and hopefully they can relate to it, they could connect to it. I seem to enjoy life so effortlessly. It was not always the case, right? There were some dark days, as I mentioned in book number 1. There were some very dark days. And these weren't days, I can actually call them years, dark years. Um, it's like, it's a very strange, it's very hard not to believe in energy. It's very hard not to believe in a creative intelligence that exists within God or nature, whatever you want to believe in. It's hard not to believe in that thing when you look at my life. So, yeah, we're going to get there together. I promise you. Just stay on this path, stay curious, and stay loving the uncertainty and needing the certainty less and less in your life. You will definitely get there. 2 books, Julie. The first one is very much personal, and the second one is more so teachy. Enjoy them both. But Warriors, let's just take a moment just to be grateful, if we could. Just to be grateful in however way you want to. I just want to take about 30 seconds. Sending so much progress your way. Sending so much love and connectedness your way. Sending so much understanding and clarity your way today. Just ride this wave today. And I'm just so grateful beyond anything I could express, my friends. So let's continue to do this together. Let's continue to move towards our authentic selves and have no fear. Have no fear. Fear is man-made. Fear is creation, right? We don't need to have any fear no matter what. Go ahead and practice that today. I love you all so much. Justinas, you are amazing. Abdo, thank you for joining us. I think this was the first time maybe. James, great to see you again. Amira, Zoe, Anita, no words. Love you all. Have a great day.